Hello YouTube. I found this spicy little morsel on Mumsnet, so I did the only reasonable thing and shared it with you. Am I being unreasonable to say that having sex in the car in the garage still counts as car sex? Here are some other people's dramas. I did a bit of research about this and there's quite a lot of information in the internet land. A website that particularly entertained me was Times of India, who provide a wonderful checklist of things to keep in mind when having car sex. I'll leave that link in the description. But car sex is quite common and people find it more exciting than in a bedroom setting due to the adrenaline rush it gives them, and the fear of getting caught adds to the experience. Anyway, let's get on with today's story. Okay. So here's the original post by Zuli. She had a discussion with her husband tonight. He says it would only count as car sex if you pulled up in a field or something a la a character from a Jilly Cooper novel. I say it counts if it's parked up in the garage. He's adamant that Mumsnet will support him. And here are some of the replies. Why would you have sex in the garage when you could just go into the house? Well, it is car sex, but I kind of agree with him. It's not the real deal if there's no chance of being caught, etc. I'd say it's a compromise, for instance. Your husband wants that and you don't, but you're willing to do it in the garage. Laughing, crying emoji. Depends if the garage is a petrol station. I would say I'm with your husband, but it sounds wrong. Wouldn't count as car sex to me if it's in your own garage. You need to be parked up somewhere. Yummy Pumpkin replies, he's right. It's the spontaneity, exhibitionism, thrill and fear of being caught, the build-up and post-sex adjustment that define it, not the actual being in a car. Vote for husband from me. OP replies to car sex is car sex. Doesn't matter where the car is. It's the first time I've really thought about car sex as such, but it turns out I have a clear point of view. Can't say it's something which has crossed my mind before either, but I'm with you. Others say, I'm with your husband, unless there's a risk of being caught, some vaguely public element to it. It's car sex, but not car sex. Does it make a difference if it's in someone else's garage rather than your own? OP replies, it would be a bit like ordering a rack of ribs in a restaurant and them serve it already off the bone. Just ain't the same. And in response to the question, does it make a difference if it's someone else's garage rather than your own? OP says, the winning compromise. What about if you compromise and keep the garage door open? Nah, you're having garage sex. Bubbles 11 says, if you're getting it on in your home in bed and talking about your fantasies and he says car sex and you say okay, we'll get the garage door zapper and we can nip in, shut the garage door and do the deed and come inside for some cocoa and lights out, then no, I don't think it counts. OP says surely that's romantic, Bubbles. Kick-Ass Angel replies, what if you have the family staying for Christmas and it's the closest thing to privacy in the house, but there's a chance that your mum will nip into the garage to get some more potatoes? Other people contribute with, it's one of those situations where it's sexy if there's a quickie risk to it, but if there's no risk then it's just really uncomfortable sex and you might as well be in your bed a few steps away to enjoy things. It's the risk that makes otherwise awkward sex enjoyable. For us, anyway. Well, it's sex in a car, but it's not car sex. Car sex has to have a slight element of danger at being caught by a passing motorist or accidentally getting it on at a popular dogging location. The thrill of getting caught makes up for the discomfort of having to contort your legs into weird positions. You're bringing back memories for me. My first time was in a car. No, it wasn't in a garage. And here were the results voted by the users of Mumsnet. So a pretty close one there. But I'd really like to remind people that in most countries, having sex in public is a crime. I understand that that's the whole point of taking the risk, and it's exciting. But yeah, be careful out there, folks. So that was a cheeky little thread, wasn't it? I mean, maybe doing it in the garage would be a good way to practice positions for the real thing. What do you think? I'm interested. Leave your comments below. Okay, I think that there's enough time for another story today. After that cheeky one, here's a really juicy one. Am I being unreasonable to tell him? I am, aren't I? Okay, so this one is all about whether or not somebody should tell their friend that they are interested in them in a more romantic way. I had a little look on the internet and I found this lovely article by lovepanky.com. I'll leave the link in the description. About how to tell if your friend loves you in a different kind of way. So there are 20 signs on this site because, you know, we all love our friends, but here are some ways to know if your best friend loves you in a deeper, more romantic way, because, you know, there certainly could be a possibility. You spend a lot of fun time with your friends and you know each other really well. Are romantic feelings rising to the surface uncommon? No, they're not uncommon, but with all that being said, do you really want to risk your friendship if you're not sure they feel the same way back? Let's have a look at the story. And here's the original post by Tom Hiddleship Wiggle. 3 years ago, my friend drunkenly told me he had always been in love with me. We were both single at the time, and he wanted more than friendship. I made light of it, said that he was just drunk, and we were such good friends I didn't want to ruin it, as I didn't feel the same. Nothing was ever mentioned about it again. We stayed really close friends, and neither of us have had a serious relationship in the meantime. COVID helped along with that, I'm sure, as it's harder to meet people. We even temporarily moved in together during lockdown because we didn't want to be on our own and thought it would only last a few weeks. We've been hanging out a lot lately, doing Christmassy stuff, and are planning to spend Christmas Eve together with our other friends as we usually do. And I've realised I've started to feel for him more than just friendship. He's been on Tinder for ages, but not been on many dates, but went on one last week and really likes her. He's seeing her again this week. I really feel sick about it. I don't think it's just jealousy making me feel like I have feelings, because I was already starting to think about it before he went on the date. So what do? Do I tell him? That'll look crappy, won't it? The first time he's met someone he's actually liked in years, and I'm suddenly deciding that I like him. Or what if the drunken thing was literally that, and he doesn't even remember, and he didn't feel like that at all, and definitely doesn't now? I could ruin anything. I wish I could turn back the clock to that moment so much. I know it's stupid. I'm seeing him so much in the run up to Christmas as well. Sorry for the rambling. I sound like I'm 16, but I'm in my 30s. And here are some responses. Tell him. Better than always wondering what might have been. Carpe diem and all that. Bluebell writes, tell him now. I was in a similar position 12 years ago. Now I'm married to my best friend. Take a chance. 100% tell him. You will regret it forever if you don't. Yep, tell him. Tell him. OP responds, how did you do it, Bluebell? That's a lovely story. And others are saying, tell him. And then come back and tell us what happened. Yes, please tell him. You'll always wonder what if you don't. If he was in a a serious relationship with someone, I'd probably not want to jeopardise it, but I think with just 2 dates under his belt, it's okay. Good luck. I'd probably wait to see if this relationship works and then tell him if it doesn't. If you're nervous, he might see it as you only saying something because he's met someone. Test the water first. Say something along the lines of, "Oh, now you've met someone, I need to get my own love life sorted," or less cheesy, and see how he reacts. If he's supportive about you going on dates and excited about this, I take it as a sign he's moved on and he's happy with you meeting someone else. If he answers by downplaying Tinder woman, make your move. Someone else says, "I agree, wait and see what happens with the Tinder date. And if it comes to nothing, then tell him. I know 2 friends who were best friends for 30 years from nursery, finally got together, had a child very quickly, and split by the time the child was 18 months. Tell him, I was the Tinder woman in this scenario many years ago. It peed me off at the time, but I got over it, and they got married. I think it's possible that you only want to say something now, as he's possibly going to be put out of reach, so I would wait to see how this current date works out. And if it doesn't, and you still feel the same, tell him. It would be very unfair on him if you changed your mind once he became available again." And OP replies, "I would guarantee she's hotter. I'm hardly an oil painting. Maybe I should leave it, although I'm not sure I can just carry on as normal. I don't think I'll act normal. I'm not seeing him till midweek, and I don't think I can do it over texts as much as I would like to, so I could hide behind a cushion until he replied." In my OP, I said I started feeling this way before the date, before they'd even started talking or anything like that, or I would totally hold my hands up to that being the case. Other people are joining in with, "Too many what ifs if you don't tell him. If he says no, then at least you've done all you can, no regrets. And you said no before and managed to remain good friends, so there's every chance you could carry on. However, by not telling him, you may lose your chance, and if you get closer to your woman, you might ruin your friendship. This is a no-brainer. Have a Love Actually moment and tell him." But Wonderful You says, "Don't tell him. He has just found someone, so see how that goes first. I think if something was going to happen, it would have happened by now, especially when you moved in together. At least wait it out until after Christmas." But others say, "Tell him. If you tell him, you may always regret it if you don't. Do you want to be sitting in a pew in 5 years' time, watching the man you love marry another woman? Either say something now before this potential new romance starts going somewhere, or be prepared to let it go." This is a really tricky one. You've got plans to see him over Christmas, including Christmas Eve. That might be a better time to have the conversation. If his feelings for you are still there, then a few dates with someone else won't change that. On the other hand, he could be sounding you out. He might have sensed that your feelings have changed and could be trying to get you to make the first move, having revealed himself in the previous drunken conversation. If you don't say anything before his date, he might think he's mistaken. Do let us know what happens though. Tell him as soon as possible. Good luck. Well, that was a real Ross and Rachel moment, wasn't it? I'd love to find out what happened. So let me know what you'd do in this situation. And if you made it to the end, thank you. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Give us a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Please join in. This is my first attempt at making a YouTube recording, so if you'd like to see more, please let me know. And if you have a dilemma that you'd like me to introduce so that other people can discuss, please send me an email.